This episode is brought to you by Americas Rehab Campus. Get on the road to recovery with the best rehab in beautiful Arizona. Dial 1-833-272-7342. That's 1-833-ARC-REHAB.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are now tuned in to the ARCast.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you again for tuning in to another episode of the ARCast. My name is Buddha.
And I'm Vance Johnson.
And I'm Matt Shetler.
Yes. Thank you very much for tuning in. Today, we have a very, very special guest. I wanted to introduce to you guys. She has been with ARC for going on 2 years now. She's an incredible person, amazing story. I'm so excited for you guys to listen to her. Ladies and gentlemen, give a big warm round of applause to our recovery support specialist, Miss Katy.
Katy.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
Hey guys, how are you?
I'm doing great. Great. Thank you so much for coming in. How are you feeling this morning?
I'm feeling good. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, we got the email last week from Matt, and he was like, dude, you got to get her in here. She's got an incredible story. And I don't know if you know, typically what ends up happening is we have amazing people coming in, sharing their testimonies about things that they've gone through and how they were able to change their life and helping others. So I am super excited to hear your story.
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm excited as well.
Awesome. So were you born here in Tucson, Arizona?
I was born and raised in Tucson, Arizona.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. I grew up here myself.
Yep.
Where'd you go to school at when you were a little girl?
Flowing Wells.
Flowing Wells.
Yes.
I remember that growing up.
Flowing
Shout out to
Wells.
Flowing Wells.
Yes.
There you go.
That's cool. So how was your childhood growing up? Did you have your family with you, your mom and your dad?
So I actually had a pretty typical childhood. Great parents, 2 older brothers. You know, my dad was an alcoholic, but he wasn't an alcoholic that was, he was a good guy. He worked, He started a business. He was a real bad alcoholic. But I don't think I realized that until I was in my 20s. I don't think I actually knew that there was a problem until I was older. I started out when I was in 3rd grade. I was shipped off to the U of A because I was really struggling with paying attention, and I was probably the kid in school where the teachers were like, "Oh my God, we've got this one. She's trouble," right? Because I don't know how to just chill out. Mm-hmm. That's an issue for me. So when I was in 3rd grade, I started to be medicated, and my family thought this is what needed to happen. But I remember by the time I was in 5th grade, I was abusing my medication.
Wow.
What were you taking?
I was taking something called Cylert, and I was also taking Ritalin.
So they diagnosed you with like ADHD.
Bad. I was on the top of the spectrum. It was serious. It was something that was keeping me from learning. Just learning disabilities and different things they thought I had, but what it was, I just don't know how to slow down.
Wow.
So I was medicated at an early age, and I remember by the time I was in 5th grade, I remember that I was taking more than I should have because I liked the way it felt. Right? It kind of just got me in the zone. So I'm in 5th grade and I'm already like, dude, I need more. This is my thing. I remember running out of medication and just being able to manipulate my parents and telling them like, I don't know what happened. I left it at school. And because I was the way I was, they were just like, okay, we'll get more. We'll figure this out. So it was already, I knew I had a problem at an early age.
So I'm very curious because just like yourself, I took Adderall. I remember as a kid, super hyper, just different thinkers. And I feel like the school system isn't necessarily designed for everybody, you know, and that was what they ended up doing. And for me, my mom would give me the pill every day. And I would take it. And I remember being in the shower. I would just sit there for hours, just sitting there. She's like, get the hell out, dude. You're taking too long in the shower. And the first time I took that medication, it was like that movie Limitless. Have you seen that movie Limitless? My brain just... Yep. And I remember oh, crap, the sky's blue. I had never felt that before. So did it help you before you were abusing it? Do you feel like it helped you with your education?
I remember. Well, I couldn't... So... in 3rd grade, right, I still couldn't read. But what I could do is I could memorize books that people were reading me. So I have a really good memory, but I wasn't reading in 3rd grade. So there was a huge issue. So when I started taking the meds, just everything started to click. And it was, Yeah, I remember even feeling like I could see better.
Wow,
Like,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Like I could actually see.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, that brings back memories.
Yeah, it was so, but I really liked the way it made me feel.
Wow.
Yeah, so I took it all through junior high. By the time I was 16, I knew that, well, I went to Floyd Wells High School. So like that's kind of in one of, it's a bad part of Tucson. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the term the white ghetto, but the white ghetto is right there.
Oh, yeah.
So I kind of gravitated towards people who, you know, they were kind of on the rough side. That's what I was attracted to.
Yeah.
So by the time I was 16, I'd already found my way into methamphetamine, and then that was a wrap.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you see the correlation with the Adderall or Ritalin, right, in the crystal meth?
Are you kidding me? It was yeah.
Focus.
That's exactly what I was looking for. That's what I needed. I needed that, and that's from the time I was 16. That's what my life was focused around, was methamphetamine.
So my question is, when you were that young, like in 5th grade, when you said that you were starting to get, you know, so used to taking this medication, how did that happen at such a young age? Were you administering it yourself?
So I was on 2 types of medication. One I had to take during the day at lunch. And so, yeah, I was just, my family, one thing that you needed to know is both of my parents, my mom's a nurse practitioner. My dad started a business, Gilbert Electric, with a couple of his buddies. So like my family was busy.
Wow.
I was the youngest and they were just trying to manage, right? Like they were just trying to manage and make sure that I was okay. But in the mornings, I had to take my meds to school with me.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So you said you had 2 older brothers. How much older are they?
So I have a brother. My oldest is 8 years older than I am, and my middle brother is 4 years.
Did they suffer from the same stuff? Or no?
Not at all.
Not at all.
Just me.
Just you.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was. Both of my brothers are pretty on point. My one brother has some drinking issues, but my other brothers, doing great, and they didn't have any issues. I was the one that was just like,
okay. So let's go back to when you said you were around 16 years old. So you started suffering, I'm guessing, academically, right? In school?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, absolutely. And right, like school's never been a big thing for me. It just hasn't. I know I kind of always felt like something was wrong with me, like I was stupid. Thankfully, I've kind of realized that I'm not, you know what I mean? Like I know I learn differently than other people. But yeah, I wasn't even going to school. I wasn't even showing up. And it was pretty well known that I was using drugs, that something was going on. Wow. So at the age of 16, my family sent me out to Idaho, up to a place called the Good Samaritan Program. I was there for 4 months. It was it's kind of a Christian-run program. I was there for 4 months. I did well, right? Because I wasn't around anybody, and I had to get it together. But as soon as I was back, I was right back at it.
Did you graduate high school?
I did graduate high school, barely. I barely graduated high school. I graduated in 1998. 2 weeks after I turned 18, I had already gotten my first drug charges, spent a month in Pima County Jail. When I got out, my family just focused on, like, my mom took time off of work, stayed with me so I could at least get my high school diploma. And I did.
Wow.
Yeah, but I'd already spent a month in Pima County. You know what I mean? But it was just like, we need to get this high school diploma because like that was going to be devastating for my family if I didn't graduate.
Yeah. I remember that too. They were like, you have to do it. Even if you don't feel like you want to, you at least need to do it. Trust me, it's going to work out in your favor in the future if you get your high school diploma, man. I'm so grateful that I did too.
So am I. I mean, I am completely grateful that I remember getting out of jail, my family picking me up, and you turn 18 when your senior year of high school. I remember when my family picked me up, they left me there for a month. Like, they could have gotten me out, but they left me there. And I remember just walking into the house, and the vibe was they were just so upset. I remember my dad just couldn't even look at me,
Yeah.
Like, what have we done? What are we doing wrong? We're sorry. We know we're busy, but it wasn't their fault,
Yeah.
It wasn't their fault. I absolutely was so about that life, being out all night, sneaking out. They just had no idea what I was doing.
Which really shows me how, listening to your childhood, how you dealt with a lot of trauma, obviously, and how such a big deal even today, even worse, because a lot of these kids listening to your story, they're ODing and dying.
No, absolutely. Yes. I know. There was a lot of things going on. and I didn't have any way to stop it. You know what I mean? But I did graduate high school.
That's good.
As soon as I graduated high school, you know, it was, what are you going to do now? Are we going to get a job? But I mean, I just continued to run around Tucson and use. And
yeah.
What would you tell parents that have kids that were, when you were young, when it comes to those different types of drugs and pills and stuff that you were taking? What would you advise parents today?
You know, I think it's so incredibly important that even when you have such a busy life, and when your career, I know, is important, I think it's really important just to be home every night and to make it a point to have discussions with your kids.
Thank you for that. Yeah, make them more important than even your work.
Make them more important than even your work. I know that I'm 42 now, and my mom and I have a great relationship now, thank God, because of recovery.
Yeah.
I know that that's been a lot of the things that she has said now, is just how sorry she is that she was so busy. You know, she kind of thought that that's what she was supposed to do. Mm-hmm. You know, she thought that that's where she needed to be, but I was home alone a lot. Yeah. And that's where, you know, I did what I wanted to do. And I also, man, I was the master at manipulation with them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah, like I just was, oh my God, I was so good at some of the things that I would tell them is just crazy.
I think all of us can probably agree with you on that one. I was that guy too.
And I don't know if they wanted to believe me or if they just wanted to be like, okay, yeah, whatever. Mm-hmm. Okay. You know, like, I don't know how to deal with you. So, okay.
Yeah. Just kind of pushing you to the side because they're just so overwhelmed.
I don't know. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So after you graduated, did you work at all? Did you have any jobs?
So after I graduated, my dad did a lot of his business out of bars because he was a salesman. He was into the electrical stuff. So he got me a job at O'Malley's in downtown,
okay.
which I actually liked, and it was fun. But I was there for about a year, but I was I was using meth at the same time the entire time. And you got to remember, right? Like, I'm ADHD, so when I'm on meth, like, it's not like, it's a little bit different. I have a different reaction to it than most people. So
focused.
Yeah.
You know, same goes for me. I was an IT guy for 14 years, and I did network cabling and stuff like that. And you'd come into a, network room where you have 10,000 drops of cable. And I would stay in those rooms for 24 hours.
Wow.
8 hours. And I did meth for 12 years. And all it did was super concentration. I was very good at my job, ringing out cables, doing all that, end game stuff. And it was because I was so focused. Because before I started taking it, I was always spinning everywhere. Didn't have any kind of, there was no tunnel vision.
Yeah.
And the math for us with ADD, like, it just puts you on this track and you go in 100 miles an hour, but you're focused.
Yep.
And for me, it did good things for me in the beginning. It ended up horrible, but at the time it was like I concentrated and boom, got everything done. It was like tick, 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 tick.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's crazy.
I get it.
I remember when I first took Adderall, the change was so dramatic. It was such a dramatic change. And then I got off of it because I had lost over 100 pounds.
Wow.
And then I got off of it feeling super good. And then all of a sudden ADHD came back, the weight came back. And a few months later, I was like, I want to get on it again. And when I did, I remember driving. I was around 16 at the time. I almost got into a wreck because it made me spin. It affected me differently.
Oh,
and
well, and now that I'm clean and I'm in recovery, right? There's been a couple times, especially when I was the IOP coordinator, that I was like, man, do I need to get on something? Because this is hard for me. You know what I mean? But no, that is absolutely the wrong answer. I just need to be on my feet. I just need to do what I do. I do not need to medicate myself at all.
To me personally, you sit here and you hear people talk about those medications, and we give them to children so young.
Yeah.
Right? And we're putting them on it is a strong medication.
Yeah.
And we wonder why that changes the chemical makeup and all this stuff. And it's wow.
What do you think? I'm very curious to ask you guys, what is your opinion? What do you think about medicating kids? If you do it the right way? Because that's one of the things. My baby girl is having issues right now. And I just remember my brain kicking on. And when it did, I was good. I was in that lane, and I always remembered to it's like muscle memory before your head. I remembered what focus felt like.
Yeah.
But until I took that medication for the first time, I had no idea of what it felt like. So I think about that. Like,
I think it just depends, right? Like I personally, going back, I wish that there had been different avenues. I wish that there had been maybe different schools that I could have gone to that were more hands-on. Like I can memorize, like I can memorize any client and where they're at. I can memorize like faces. But I don't know that medicating kids is a good idea. It wasn't for me.
By the way,
but I'm an addict.
I agree with you. Yeah. That's why I was sitting here thinking whether I should even answer that question or not, because to me, I don't think they should be medicating kids.
Yeah, I mean, I'm no doctor, but to me, there is a lot of downside,
right?
Compared to the upside, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's got to be other holistic.
Yeah.
I know there was my little sister had learning disabilities, and we sent her to like Sullivan Learning Center where they taught her different ways to pay attention.
Yep.
She got to learn at her speed, stuff like that, and it helped her out a lot. She didn't get put on medication.
Wow.
So not being a doctor and stuff, I don't know. Look at the facts.
Yeah.
Is all we can do, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. So after that, after the O'Malley's and all of that stuff started happening.
So I meet a guy at O'Malley's, right? Really great guy. He's from West Virginia. He's a couple years older than me. We start seeing each other and I get pregnant. So at this point, I'm 19. I'm pregnant. I still have a drug issue, and he knew about it, and his mom was moving up to Idaho. So this is my second time going up to Idaho, but his mom's moving up to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. And he's like, let's just relocate. And I didn't have any other ideas. So yeah, let's relocate. So I went up to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, had my son, Charlie. 13 months later, had a son named Dylan. Probably the best 5-6 years of my life because I had my babies, right?
Yeah.
Like they're amazing. But then again, like I'm not working, I'm not in recovery. I'm still drinking. I'm still smoking a little bit of weed. It's crazy how it happened. I stumbled upon Oxycontins.
Did you end up marrying this guy, or?
I did end up marrying him. Yes, I did. We were married. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Coeur d'Alene's beautiful, by the way. Such a beautiful country.
Like
up there.
I feel like that was such a blessing to be able to experience that type of country and that type of weather, and it really opened my eyes. It was a really good time in my life, but of course, here comes my addiction, right? I stumble upon Oxycontins and I got hooked, and I'm talking. It was so bad. Okay, right. Like you can do meth and you're not going to, I have physical withdrawals from meth and it is hard, but like Oxycontin was to another level. So long story short, it was so bad. My sons were 7 and 8. This is just awful. This is just like probably where my life just takes a horrible turn. I'm hooked on Oxycontins and then my plug is gone, right? I can't get them anymore. So what am I going to do? So and I can find dope anywhere. It doesn't matter where I'm at. I promise you I can find it. So I found a connect for meth and I started doing meth again. And my sons witnessed they were already seeing, it's a tragic time in my life because that's where I made that decision that my family was not important, right?
Yeah.
I needed to take care of me. I started just doing the craziest stuff. I started coming down here and bringing, I was just trafficking stuff all over the United States. It was just ridiculous. My husband's at home just heartbroken. My kids are like, where's their mom? I don't know what the switch was, but it was insane. And I completely abandoned my family. That's the only way that when I tell my story in meetings, like I chose to abandon my children. I chose that.
Thank you for your transparency, Dan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure.
There was, it's heartbreaking when I think about it. I remember I would be driving into Coeur d'Alene and I would go past my kids' exit and I would it was just like, I got to do more. I got to do more.
Wow.
So right now this is probably 2007. And in 2007, I met somebody and I started learning how to cook methamphetamine. And I did that for literally a year straight. Like it was an obsession. It was all that I thought about. It was all that I did. It was crazy. And I ended up getting busted for manufacturing methamphetamine.
Wow.
They tried to get me with a ton of other charges, but the manufacturing stuck. So in 2008, I went to prison for 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And were you still with your husband at this point?
So, right, like I was still married to him, but I hadn't talked to him. I hadn't talked to him in a year. I hadn't talked to my kids in a year. So he shows up to, you know, to where I'm at in jail. And he's like, I'm glad that you're safe. Like, you know, I'm glad that you're safe. And he just told me a little bit about what was going on with his life. And he told me he had somebody who he had in his life, and she was amazing. And right, like at this point, I'm angry.
Yeah.
But it took me a couple months to really just turn that around from like anger to just being grateful that my sons had somebody who was there for them, a woman, you know?
Yeah.
And she's still there. So
Tough.
yeah, it was tough. I remember being so mad, and I was so mad, and I was getting ready to get sent to Pocatello, Idaho to do my time. And one of the older ladies was like, "Why are you upset? You weren't there." And it just was like,
Hit you. Right.
You
Right
took
in the
right.
gut.
I took the words out of my mouth.
I needed somebody to say, "Why are you upset? You weren't there.
Right.
What were you doing?
Exactly.
Nothing."
Right. We chose
I mean?
our addiction over our kids.
Yeah, completely, 100%. I said, "Boys, this is more important than you are."
Right.
You know what I mean? And so,
I was that dad.
At
Yeah.
that time, then she just basically said, "You made your bed. Now you get to lay in it, and there's nothing you can do."
about the first year that I was in prison, you know, I started writing. He was soon to be my ex-husband, his mom, and she just said, you know, "We love you, we support you, we're not going to ever speak ill of you in front of the boys." And I think that they didn't. I think that they just kind of kept it like, "Your mom's sick, man. Your mom's really sick." So, and then that's when I started reaching out to her name's Buzzy. It's a nickname she's had her entire life, but I started reaching out to her, and we started corresponding, and we just, you know,
This is the woman who's
Stepmom.
the stepmom, yeah. And she just, you know, it became a good thing. So I'm doing 5 years in prison, right? The first 3, I do good, no drugs, nothing. By the 3rd year, I'm getting a little into my thinking, you know what I mean? Start hitting up some of the COs and start manipulating them, and they start bringing in heroin.
What do you think caused you to start getting back into that mindset?
I don't know, man. It's
devil.
just me. It's just yeah, it is. No, for sure. And also I'll be honest with you, I saw some weakness in him.
Yeah.
I saw a weakness in some of these COs, and I knew that I could.
It's amazing what our brains are capable of, huh?
I saw it, I knew it, and I just said, "You know what, ladies, I got you."
Wow.
So
All right. So after you got out of prison, did you get sober right away?
No. So okay. So I'm in prison. I'm getting out in 2013. My dad ends up with liver cancer. So the last year that I was in prison, I'm like, "Oh God, I need to get out." I fill out the paperwork to interstate compact back to Arizona. My kids are good. My kids are safe. They want me to, you know, my dad's dying. So I fill this stuff out. They agree to it. And 2 weeks before I got out, my dad passed away.
Wow.
So I come down here for nothing, right? My mom picks me up, and she can immediately tell that something's off. You know, we just supported you for 5 years while you were in prison.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Held it down for your kids. And I can tell that you're fucked up, right? Like, I can tell that you are not right. Like, what? So at that point, she's like, "You know what? I'm done. Like, good luck. Good luck." So this is in 2013. I remember getting out, and when I went in, there was no such thing as an iPhone or somebody handed me a phone. I didn't even know how to use it.
Dang.
Yeah, so it's just like, I mean, if that can just tell you how I was like tripping, it was all bad. I hit the streets of Tucson. All the homeboys that I had, all the people that I knew back in the day, they're all locked up or doing something else. So I'm pretty much alone. Right. I'm pretty much alone. Like the first year out of prison was rough. When I say I was living on the streets, like I was not really homeless, but I was living on the streets doing what I had to do.
Did you have any relationship with your siblings at this time?
No, my brothers are pretty conservative.
Yeah.
So they took, you know what I mean? They were just like, eh.
Yeah.
She went to prison, you know what I mean? Like, we're not doing this. Yeah.
Now, do they have families?
Yeah.
Yep.
So how long were you out there by yourself?
I was out there for quite a while. You know, I started kind of just hustling and making connections, and was able to, in the end, take care of myself pretty well for a long time. I didn't decide to get clean until some really scary stuff started happening on the streets. And I knew I was finally scared enough to where I needed help.
And what was your rock bottom?
I was involved. So there's a couple rock bottoms, man.
yeah.
Actually, there was a horrible home invasion that I was involved in where it was just bad. It was just bad. Another rock bottom was a guy that I was dating was like, he wasn't physically abusive, but he was, I don't know how to explain it. He was a narcissist. He was horrible.
Wow.
Mentally,
man. Like I thought I was losing my mind.
What is that
to
called?
me, that's like worse. I'd rather someone just beat my ass physically because you can get over that. The words and the nastiness and stuff like that sticks. You know,
Man.
Yeah, it was bad. That was probably one of the worst times in my life.
It's like somebody who runs a cult almost, like being able to control you and make you.
And controlled everybody because he, controlled everybody around him because he had some power. It was really bad. And then also I had a really good friend. I had Sammy on the streets who absolutely I adore and has been a huge support.
Shout out to Sammy.
Yeah. Like I literally, without Sammy and Jesse, like I had people who truly did care about me.
Yeah.
Right. So like when I disappeared, like I had people who were looking for me. You know what I mean? Like they were concerned and they were scared for me. And so she knew all the stuff that was happening and she was just like, dude, what are you going to do? Like, this is getting bad. I had people looking for me. Like, you know what I mean? It was getting pretty out of control. You know what I mean? It was getting really scary. Also, another thing that started happening in 2019 is all the heroin that I was getting was fentanyl. And that was scary. People were dying. Yeah. Everyone was dying.
That's right.
Wow.
Good friends of mine were dying. And so that was something that was just like, man, not good.
When did recovery start coming into your head?
So, you know what? I'll be honest with you. I thought that I would be a drug addict till the day I died. In fact, I knew it. Like there was nothing else for me, right? Like I had already everything in my life I've messed up. My children, everything. Completely messed up. So at this time, probably in about 2017, my kids are hitting me up. Like, yo, we love you. Like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, we love you. And I was sending them money. And finally, my oldest, Charlie, was like, I don't want your fucking money.
Yeah.
I just want you to be right. So that really started to tell me, like, man, can I do this? Like, if they think I can do it, can I do it? So I came to the ARC. After, again, a crazy home invasion. Sammy was like, I'm scared for you. What are we going to do? I show up to the ARC and I come in, I detox, I come in through IOP and I'm like, I'm golden, man. I got this, dude. I don't need no meetings. I don't need no, you know what I mean? I'm clean. I'm going to go out and handle it. I go and get it done. So dumb, dude. It's so dumb to think that I thought I was going to be clean, but I was going to go back out there and live the life that I was living.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I actually had that in my head. And that was the dumbest thing. Like everything I was involved in those toxic relationships. I was still hanging out with the people that were horrible for me. I was still involved in criminal activity. I was still, you know what I mean? Like of course I fell flat on my face and I just felt like shit. So I came back 3 months later. I remember Joel Carroll, when he was working here, who was like, man, come back if you need to. So I was just like, all right. So I just knew that there was a way, I could always come back. Right?
Yeah.
So I came back and I did the entire program and I went, you know what? I came in with a good amount of money and I got a hold of a friend of mine who runs, in fact, plug to Believe Recovery Services. I'm the assistant director there. Gotta love Heather. I call Heather up and I'm like, Heather, I need help. So she gets me into her sober living and I start doing meetings and but reverse back to when I came through the ARC and I did the whole program. Like things happened here, right? This place has a culture all of its own, right? Yeah. Like there's true healing that happens here. Like things like, again, I was somebody who said, I don't know any other way to live. Like there is no other way to live for me but to be a drug addict, to be on the streets, because I like that hustle. I like that life. Like that's what fulfills me. That's the only thing that gives me any sort of fit, There was something that happened here. I don't know, right? I mean, if it was a God thing, I don't know, but something changed and it was from the people that work here. There was just some real healing that happened. Something happened with my mind. Like I was able to actually feel again. And
do you remember where you were? Like when you finally were just like, wow.
You know what? I think I was to be honest with you, I think I was in residential and we were getting ready for a Thanksgiving if I'm correct in it, just all of a sudden, like, I just realized, man, this is something that I've missed. You know what I mean? I hadn't celebrated anything for 20 years, right? Like nothing.
Wow.
You don't celebrate stuff when you're in prison. You don't celebrate Christmas when you're on the streets. Like, you know what I mean? That's not something that happens. So that was just something that, like, wow, man, how did I get so far away from what's important? Because it happened so fast.
Man.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here thinking, and I mean, basically, you know, what Katie's saying is that unless your mind is open, you're going to be stuck wherever you're at. And I feel like when she came back through and she did the whole program, God shot for her was her being completely open, right? And willing to hear and to listen and to soak in everything. And look what that's done for her. That, you know, 5-minute thing that happened to her wherever she was, residential, whatever holiday, whatever it was, for her completely changed her life.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's why one of the things that it was just like, I just remembered feeling joy, you know what I mean? Having that joy, anticipation, and having all those things in life. Like, there's so much more to life. And that's something that recovery shows you again. The ARC is the cool thing about the ARC, right, is like you can poke holes through any program you want. But if you are ready, if you are truly fucking ready to get clean, to get your life straight, this is where you got to come. And I am telling you, I have been to other places that are like $80,000 a month, right? And that was such a joke. Like, there's nothing there, right? There's nothing. There's true, like the people here. It's the vibe. It's the culture. This place can really help you. It can, if you allow it to help you, it can help you. I see miracles every day.
Yep.
I see miracles every day.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I'm so blessed to be able to work in IOP. I don't know, that's another God thing, right? Because that's just where they put me, and I've been there ever since.
Yeah.
But like my clients, I get them for 3 or 4 months, so I see like the most insane changes.
Yeah.
Like I get to actually witness some true miracles happen with people, and it's amazing.
And it's beautiful to me how now you're like this new creation and you're able to help inspire other people. I hear your name come up all the time in positive light. Like, you know, Katie's incredible. Yeah. She's amazing. You know, she's so hardworking.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's amazing. And I'm completely transparent with people. They know my struggles. They know that you know what I mean? Like I'm completely transparent with people, and I will root these people on. I'm just, And
I think the nice thing about that is the key for them seeing that is by us sharing that just because we're sober today doesn't mean we don't have issues that we're rolling through and getting through, and we're human. Things come and happen good. Things come and happen that are bad, right? But we don't have to use to get through them. And I think they see that. And when we're transparent with them, they connect with you on a more of a human level, right? And they don't see us as you know, just out here spewing this stuff, but we actually live it, right? Yeah. And you know, to be transparent and on point, and to always them knowing, hey, Katie's going to be here at 1:00 today, you know, and they probably run over and share something that's happened to them, either that was amazing for them or an issue or a problem they're having, right? And they feel like they can talk, not be judged, you know, and heard and listened and treated with respect, right? And compassion. And you hear that a lot with Katy and her clients out there. They all love her, right? Awesome. And her coworkers. So, I mean, that's a huge plus for you. And I'm sure, hey, we don't need to hear, hey, I was appreciated today and all this stuff. And we can tell people, I don't need pats on the back. But when you get them, doesn't it just change your outlook and the way you feel, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, I never thought that I didn't think that I would be able to have these connections with people or just be so open and honest with them. But when I'm here, when I'm on the job, right? Like, it's just such a comfortable job for me. I can relate to anybody. Doesn't matter if they're 70 or if they're 20. You know what I mean? I'm going to let them know that I'm here for them and that I believe in them. Yeah. And so that just makes, I know that I've had people when they're leaving, they're like, dude, it was because you cheered me on this whole time. Yeah. Like, thank you. Like, I didn't leave 3 times because you made me, you know, you showed me that there was a better way, right?
Yeah.
Like I tell people all the time, don't give up. What are you doing? You're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Stop.
Yep.
You're not going anywhere.
Got to break that foot off in them every now and then.
Yeah. You're not going out there. Stop.
Yeah,
So,
tough love is important. Sometimes you got to do that, you know?
yeah. No, I'm grateful to the ARC completely. I never, again, it changed my life. You know, I have an amazing life now. I have an incredible boyfriend. I have a great relationship with my mom. My kids are doing amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, like they are doing so good.
How old are your boys now?
So my Charlie's 22. He just moved to Atlanta.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and my son Dylan is 21. He's still up in Idaho, but they're just happy. They're proud of me. They, there's some trauma there that, obviously that I created. And I did, and I all I can do is be present and available now. And of course, all they want from me is to stay sober and clean. So
yeah, for sure. And I mean, we had to talk about this yesterday. I really do feel like those holes that you feel, like those voids in your kids' lives, by being able to be who you are today, changing your life, living by example, and giving hope, it fills those voids. It really does. And your kids are going to know for the rest of their life that their mom is a fighter.
yeah.
And their mom helps a shit ton of people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, they're just proud as hell of their
They
mom.
are.
Which
They
is
are.
a great feeling, because when you sit, if you're anything like me, even today, that quietness late at night or whatever, I start sitting and thinking of, the damage I did to my kids, and the feelings of guilt and shame and choices that I made that really impacted their life and put trauma in their life, right? And I can talk to them today, and I'm sitting here thinking a certain way, and they're only like, Dad, we love you. Like, you're awesome. You're great. Like, and here I am beating the shit out of myself as a parent. And yet they don't think about that stuff. They just think of who I am and what I am today.
Yeah.
And we're tough on ourselves, and I think that's a big challenge to be in that mindset of, who I am today is not who I was 15 years ago. It isn't even who I was a year ago, right? Because we're always growing and pushing forward and becoming better human beings. Like, for me, it's not about, what I have today or whatever. I would much rather know that I impacted somebody's life in a positive manner than a negative manner. Because I used to be like Debo from Friday.
Yeah.
Wanted me around. You know what I mean? And it was always taking and doing mean things and being a complete jerk to people, compared to now where I want to be that positive impact on people. I want them to go home and share with whoever, hey, I met this person today who, was positive and who had changed his life and has been doing this for a long time and helps you know what I mean? That's
Absolutely.
good for me. That helps me,
Yeah.
And I know it helps them, because when people like that come in my life, it makes a huge impact on me, and there's no other greater feeling. That's the juice. We were talking about the juice this morning, right, Vance?
Yep.
The juice for me today is not, things that I used to think propelled me back in the day. It's completely different today.
Yeah.
And
thanks for your transparency, because I got that saying that transparency leads to transformation. So
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
It's a great
Yeah,
one.
and
please
I'm
use
Good
that
one.
one. Use
Great.
that.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm still, even the person that I am today is not the person that I was just 6 months ago. Like, I'm constantly trying to become more professional, become more like it's a constant thing. So I love that though.
Thank you, dear.
Transparency leads to
Transformation.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah.
It is.
Heck yeah.
Put it up on the wall, Buddha.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's get a sign.
I
right
feel
here.
like it needs to be done for sure.
That's awesome. So, Katy, what last question that I have for you is, for anyone out there that's still living in that lifestyle and is afraid or has even no clue where to start, what advice would you give them?
I know how scary it can feel to just feel lost, confused, broken, because I lived that way for 16 years. What you need to do is you just need to know that there's a better way, and there are people who will help you. I think just by taking the first step, even just coming into detox, you know what I mean? Just showing up, coming into detox, just coming in and letting us help you. Man, there is a better way to live. And I know if you feel like you don't deserve better, or if you feel like you won't be able to function in the world clean and sober, I completely identify with that. But I am 100% proof that it is possible. It is possible. We also, we here at the ARC, we have a long enough program to where you'll be with us for at least 5 months if you need to be. And we will be there every step of the way.
In your opinion, too, I mean, you got to, come through the program and have that long amount of time, and then you work here as well. Do you think that having a program that separates you from the drugs and you from the atmosphere, the longer amount of time that you can put into that in the very beginning, the greater chance you have for long-term sobriety?
100%. Again, I did 30 days here and I thought I had it figured out, and I didn't. And then I came back and I was here for 4 months, and it completely changed my thinking. We offer more time here because we know it works.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
It's like being an athlete. Just because you worked out for 30 days don't mean you got it made yet.
Yeah.
You're not on the team yet.
Yeah, you're repairing so much. You're repairing your body, you're repairing your soul, you're repairing your mind. So there's so much that the longer you are here, the better. I think that the better the outcome is for sure.
Oh, yeah. When you mentioned 4 months, it reminded me of my athletic career where when you went to the NFL, it took 4 months actually before you finally made that final cut.
Yeah. So it's kind of the same thing, right?
Exactly. Now you know the play every morning.
Yeah.
And that's what you do today.
Yeah.
And the thing is, some people might, like our guest yesterday, one time, and then he's managed to put together quite a long time of sobriety.
Yep.
It took me a lot of different treatment centers and things, and stumbles and falling downs and learning and wanting to get back on the horse and all that stuff to actually get it. So it doesn't matter to me. It's like, well, how many times have they been in treatment? Oh, 20. But guess what? The 21st time might be the time that light bulb comes on, or they meet somebody that is going to change their life. Because it's all about being open for somebody. Because working here with having so many people on our campus, you never know who you're going to touch, right?
Yeah.
And if they can feel close to you, right, and feel safe and everything, you might be the person that changes that for them. And like I always say, I'm always open. I'll talk to whoever needs talked to. Come find me. Like, I'm here, and I know all of us in this room are that way, and everybody here at ARC that works for ARC puts that out there as well. Yeah. And I think that's key, because somebody might relate better to Katy, somebody might relate better to Buddha or to Vance or to myself, and if we're not open and out there for them, then they're losing the opportunity, and we're losing that opportunity as well, because they help us just as much as we help them.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you touched on a very important thing that I want to say too, because there's been times where we ran into clients that will come like on a second or a third time. And when you walk into the lobby, they don't even look you in the eye. They look straight down. And for me, I'm always like, hey, man, how are you doing? You know what I'm saying? How are you feeling? And they're like, Buddha, I didn't want to see you, bro. I was embarrassed. It's like, dude, you have nothing to be embarrassed about, man. Like, this ain't no judgment game here. We're saving souls, bro.
Yeah. Like, glad to have you back. I'm glad you made it back.
I'm glad you made it back, because guess what?
People don't.
Yeah.
Most people don't. That ego, that pride gets in the way, and then guess what? You end up taking your last breath, right? Yeah. And that there's nothing to be ashamed of coming back to treatment numerous times. Open arms, welcome you back. Hey, what went wrong that time for you? What was it? And usually they can pinpoint something. Hey, I got back into the relationship I had, before I came in. Yeah. Or ran into some old homies, or, I picked up that one drink, sent me down this road. Like, okay, well, next time, try to detour. We can help them kind of figure out why. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Because that was a big problem for me. I never knew why I did the things I did until it was pointed out, like, hey, you have abandonment issues. I was like, it didn't even register for me. Yeah. And then it started registering. Oh, well, your mom left you when you were 9 months old. I've had an issue with every relationship I've been in with a woman. My relationships with my daughters were always rocky. You know what I mean? It stems from this. Yeah. So what do? You repair and you work on that. And then in turn, you get to reap the rewards of, a loving wife, a great relationship with my daughters as well as my son. Amen. You know what I mean? And it's just like, wow, that one thing that I chose to ignore and then fix all these other things kept me sick. Using, but I always say, I heard it a lot too, beginning of the program. It's like your disease is out there in the parking lot doing push-ups, right? Wow. Doesn't matter. You're in here sober right now, but it is just waiting for you to either feel sorry for yourself make a poor decision, anything and anything it can do to get back on top, to hold you down, to kick your ass, right? Make you be miserable, because it wants us to be miserable, angry, upset, right? Because we had two emotions when we were using: happy and then anger.
Oh, man.
I was happy when I had my dope, and then I was angry when I was waiting for it.
Yeah.
And then you get sober and you get clean, and then there's this rainbow of emotions.
Yeah.
And you're like, what is this feeling? What am I feeling now? And working through those and letting them happen.
Opening the floodgates, man.
Yeah. I think I've shared it before, but it's like when I got sober that first time, I hadn't seen my kids for a while. They were both 5 and 3. And we're sitting there, and I had them for the couple hours that I was allowed to see them. We're watching Lion King, and I'm not a crier, and I'm not emotional or whatever. And all of a sudden, my daughter's like, "Dad, why are you crying?" And I was like, "What?" I was crying in the part where the dad died.
Yes.
And I was like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
Not knowing that, hey, you have all these other feelings. Life's just not about being happy or being angry. There's all kinds of things that we can sit and feel, and managing through those emotions, right? And it's okay to cry as a man. It's okay to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
It's okay to show emotions, to tell people you love them, to do all those things that we were told or we thought that weren't supposed to happen.
Yep.
Right? I can't hug another guy. I can't tell another guy I love him. I can't show that this, because then people will think I'm weak. Right?
Mm-hmm.
The way I feel now is if you don't show any emotions, you're probably pretty damn weak.
Yeah.
That's my own opinion.
Yeah.
No, that's true.
And it's just so weird how things change completely. Like, we're born a certain way to be who we're supposed to be. We get off track for however many years. You said 16.
Yeah.
However many years for me, however many years for Vance. And then, boom, you get put back into who you are meant to be.
Yeah, that's
right.
Uh-huh.
So it's just getting off track for a while.
Yeah.
And then when you get back on track and you feel complete, it's such a wonderful feeling to actually look in the mirror and like the person I'm looking at.
Yeah.
Instead of looking in the mirror, well, I couldn't look in the mirror for years. I had to turn around and brush my teeth. I hated that person. And to be able to look at that person and appreciate them and love myself, right? Which I never did, because I was doing anything and everything to destroy that person.
Yeah.
But I was too scared to put the gun in my mouth and pull the trigger, doing anything and everything else to try, but to actually look at yourself and actually give a damn, right, about yourself, is such a change. So
That's the miracle, man. Like that's just huge, right?
yeah.
Like from going from self-hate to self-love,
Yep.
and like actually really like investing in myself and knowing, right? Like I'm just going to give it 100% every day and good things will happen. Like I believe that now, because it's showing. It's like it's
proven.
It's proven.
It's a fact.
It's a fact.
You can't say it's not.
Yeah, it's a fact. And it's, I don't know. Yeah.
And Vance, I know I've heard you say before, are you learning obedience through the things that you're experiencing? Like to come back to that job that you were meant to have in your life, there's a certain amount of obedience and structure that you have to know.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you can't get there unless you've been through the roads that you've been through.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Well, thank you very much
Yes.
for sharing your testimony.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Katy one more time. Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much. That was beautiful. I admire your strength. I admire everything about you. I'm so glad to have you as a part of the team, for real.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So much, Kev.
Definitely. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are interested in being on the ARCast with us, please hit us up. The email address is thearcast6944@gmail.com. We'll get back to you as soon as possible. Remember, we're on all platforms now, so we're on Apple, Spotify, everything. If you guys need anything, hit us up. As always, much love and God bless. Have a beautiful rest of your week.
Thank you, Katy.
Thanks, guys.
Yes,
thank you
thank
so
you.
much.
What's going on, everybody? This is Buddha from the ARCast, and I just wanted to thank you for checking out this week's episode. It means a lot, and if you could share it with a friend or a loved one, somebody you need in recovery, or maybe somebody who just needs that little bit of extra positivity in their life, we'd greatly appreciate it. If you would like to join us here on the ARCast, either in the studio live or online, hit us up. The links are down in the show notes of this episode, and on there, you can find direct links to our main website here at Americas Rehab Campus and all of our social media platforms. Follow us. We keep the posts positive and motivational, focused on recovery, health, and wellness. As you know, in this modern day and age, we need as much love as possible, y'all. And as always, if you or somebody you know is in need of substance abuse treatment, please don't hesitate to give us a call. We're open 24 hours a day, and our direct phone number is 1-833-272-7342. Once again, that phone number is 1-833-272-7342. I hope you all have a beautiful rest of your day. Much love and God bless. Peace.